episode of Pardon the Punctuation, and we have a very special guest lined up for us tonight. We have our first conversation with a member of the 1,000 Point Club, currently sits at number 17 on that list of 44 men who have joined that club for your Cincinnati Bearcats basketball team. Actually, the second player on that list I've gotten to talk to this evening. But we have Leonard Stokes here with us. Leonard, how are you tonight?
I'm pretty good, fellas. How's it going, man? Appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's our pleasure to have you on, sir. Um, I don't know if you want to get into your time spent at Cincinnati first, or if you'd like to talk about the current state of the program first. But I'll let you drive here, sir.
This is your show, man. Whatever you guys want to get into, I'm here. Here to support, here to be, here to kind of give you guys a little backstory about some of the locker room stuff that the antics that we had, some of the other stuff, man. But I'm here, man. So whatever you guys want to
Well,
discuss,
we
we're
know
open.
everybody wants to hear about the current state of the program, so we'll push that off to the end to make sure that everybody's listening to get through your story.
Smart man, smart.
First.
I like it. I like it, Aaron. I mean, this is the suspense. You got to build up to suspense, man, to keep them.
Absolutely. We'll,
Yeah, for
we'll work
sure,
in
man.
we'll work in the way that it happened chronologically.
For
So
sure, man.
you jumped into this program back in 1999, back when Coach Huggins was still here, back when Jordan Brand was everywhere on campus, and you saw damn near every game on ESPN. If it wasn't on ESPN, it was on Fox 19. For
Bearcat
So, what was that first year like? I mean, you somehow logged 7 minutes a game in that first year as a guy on an excellent team, and we'll talk a little bit more about that team here in a little bit once we get what it was like for you. But what was that first year like for you?
Um, it was it was a great year. The team was great. Kenyon was great. Jermaine Tate, Fletcher. All Pete Michael, all of those guys were great guys, man. They embraced us, our freshman class, me, Demar, Kenny, and BJ Grove. They embraced us. It was a fun time. I mean, we off the court, and I'll kind of segue that into some of the conversations we're gonna have later. But off the court, it was a brotherhood, man. We were all, we all did everything together. We would go to the movies. We would go to eat. I mean, it was a brotherhood. And the one thing, with me coming in as Mr. Basketball, Kenny, Demar, BJ, we all had, good high school careers. I never really got frustrated because Kenyon always would tell me like, "Hey, man, you're really good. You can play. So don't get down on yourself. Just we're stacked as a team, and these are the minutes. You got Pete, you got Demar. I mean, it was Steve Logan. I mean, the list goes on and on, right? Like, I mean, that team we were front to back. Donald Little. I mean, we had that was a remarkable team. So, I loved it. I really enjoyed the ride. Learned a lot. And really established a bond to this day. I mean, I just literally talked to Kenyon probably an hour ago, right? Like, I go to LA, I go to his home. I mean, I've got the codes to his place to get in, right? Like this, I mean, like this is like my brother, like my big brother. I mean, I always, in a sense, have felt that way. I mean, even when he was with New Jersey, the Knicks, Denver. I mean, our summers in Denver were unbelievable. Me, Kenny, DeMar, Ruben, Kenyon. I mean, we were in the gym working out one day. I remember George Carl saying like, who am I, Bob Huggins? Like, why are all these Bearcat guys in here, man? So, I mean, it's just, it's a brotherhood that was created. And till this day, I mean, I'll be 40 here in 2 weeks, right? I mean, DJ's 40, Kenyon's, I think Kenyon's 43. I mean, we're all still, you know, intertwined. And, coming in as freshmen, I would have never thought that I would still be friends with Kenyon Martin at this stage of my life. I would have never thought that I would still be friends with DeMar Johnson. But that is the type of atmosphere Coach Hugs created.
And DeMar was only there for a year, so that's just speaks to how quickly that you guys all got, or how close you got that quickly.
Yeah,
For
absolutely.
sure. I was moving into the dorm. Now, Demar, and Kenny did have a relationship prior to coming to UC.
Okay.
Kenny and I had a very strong bond. DJ and I had a good one. But I was moving into the dorm my freshman year. It was my mom and my dad and myself. And my mom was carrying boxes, and I didn't call or say anything like, "Hey, I'm here." I pulled up to the back door of the dorm, and Demar and Kenny were coming out. And Demar looked at my mom and said, "Hey, give me a box. You need help." And I mean, I'm in my head like, man, this guy's gonna be, a lottery pick in the NBA draft. And here he is asking my mom for, for the box to, to help take it up. So DJ's always been that way. Just a giver, just a great person, man. Just a great human being. And again, I talk to DJ probably 15 times a day. We're in a group text. Me, him, and Kenny. I mean, there's a group of us, man. So, I mean, it's just amazing that the brotherhood that we all have.
And I know you mentioned you were out in Denver. Were you part of that music video that?
Oh, Big Boss Slim, him and Kenya in that one.
Yeah, exactly.
I wasn't in that one. I wasn't in that one, man. I knew early on I was going to take more of a knack for business, so I didn't want to get involved with any of that stuff. Boss Slim, man.
I didn't know if maybe you were the cameraman or maybe you were just in the background somewhere.
No, they'll tell you I was in the background for one of them, man, and I was. They probably had to mute that thing because I was laughing pretty hard. But
we completely forgot to bring that up.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys should have definitely brought that up. That would have been liquid gold for the show, man.
Just cut a clip somewhere and just throw it out there one day.
YouTube Boss Slim, man. We talk about it all the time, man. We joke. I mean, we still to this day in our group text, everyone will rap a little bit. We'll call it like Freestyle Friday. Everyone will write a little, couple lines and then put it in, and then we'll joke. Man, we're still jovial, man. We still, we still act like we're 18 years old in the locker room, man. So.
That's fantastic. So the 2000 season ends in a little bit of tragedy.
For sure.
As that was supposed to be the year. Everybody knew that was supposed to be the year. So I don't want to dwell too much on that. We all know how that story ended, unfortunately.
Sure.
But you got to move on to that sophomore year, and you were starting all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a huge transition going from that freshman year to that sophomore year.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of saw some similar things this year, and that step that Jeremiah Davenport took going from coming off the bench that first year into becoming a star here locally anyway, as a sophomore. So kind of walk us through what that sophomore year was like and how that transition went for you.
It was a good transition. I knew over the summer that I had to work because I was gonna be a starter, and I knew what you kind of had this feel of what Cincinnati basketball was all about, right? Like the fanfare, the hoopla. I mean, you go to the mall, you go to restaurant, you go to dinner. I remember freshman year, we all went to the mall, and they literally escorted us out of the mall because there were so many people asking for autographs that they told us for us to come back as a group, we had to call ahead to come in, man. I mean, it was
crazy.
I mean, it was ridiculous, right? So my sophomore year, I knew what the presence we had as Bearcats, what that meant to the city, as well as what it meant internally to the university. So just worked over the summer. Me and Kenny Satterfield were in the gym all day, every day. I don't know how, NCAA rules or whatever, man, but we would sneak in the gym at midnight. I mean, midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning to get shots up, from our side, man. So, we tried to do as much as we could, but because we knew we had a burden that next year. Logan was with us too, so Steve was there. But I mean, even going into that season, you still have the pressure of DeMar calling you, Kenyon calling you, Nick Van Exel, Ruben Patterson, Corey Blunt. All these guys are, hey, you guys, it's your time. But I mean, that is what the legacy of being a Bearcat was, man. It's just these guys are they're coming back in the summer playing pickup with us. I mean, I'm Ruben Patterson is guarding me in the summertime. So I'm, when I get in the game, I'm looking at the guy guarding me like, you don't got a chance. I've been playing against Ruben all summer, man. So it was just a long lineage of brotherhood and support. And those guys were always there through the bad times, but you knew you had to step up. So sophomore year, we knew, we had to play. It was an up and down year. We were young. And we wound up making it to the Sweet 16. But it was an up and down year, man. But good year. We learned a lot of lessons. And then I think after that, Kenny bolted for the NBA after that.
And that was the furthest any team that you were on made it in the tournament, correct?
Correct. Yeah, it was we were not. I mean, obviously the Kenyan incident happened, and then my junior year, we were number one for I think 24 weeks or something like that. We were number one in the country, and then we wound up using them to UCLA in that game. But yeah, that was the furthest we made it.
So was it more fun than making it to the Sweet 16, or spending as much time as you did at number one then your junior year, or being on that team your freshman year with all the superstars, with Kmart and everybody else?
That's a good question. Every experience was different, right? Like, so the freshman year experience was, you knew Kenyon was a leader. And it was just a team that he led with pure, he was just a leader. And one of the best leaders I've been around, business, sports, whatever, right? Like, just imposed his will, and you had to follow that, because if you didn't, you would stick out like a sore thumb. So he set the bar for all of us. Sophomore year, we were kind of all over the place, trying to find an identity, right? You've got me, you got Logan, you got Satterfield, so it was, everyone's trying to jockey to see who the next leader is going to be, but it wind up working, right? Like that, so we advanced to the Sweet 16, but that year was a rougher year. Freshman year you would come in, practice, what to be expected. Sophomore year we would win 2 games, lose 1, win 3, lose 2. It was a different animal, and then we wound up making it the furthest. And then junior year, it was really Steve Logan, and then myself Steve was Batman, I was Robin. And, we had a really good season that year, which reminded us of our freshman year, but we were just in the lead at that point. We were the leaders of the team then. That season, I think, was my most favorite, because I was actually a large part of it. And it was also the most disappointing. Well, I can't say that. I think Kenyon's year was disappointing because we thought that we were actually really going to win the national championship. The junior year, we were number one, and we thought that we had a strong chance of winning as well. But again, we fell short. But if I had to rank them, I would go freshman year, junior year, sophomore year, senior year.
So senior year didn't go so well by comparison with the other years. You did make the tournament again, as you made the tournament every year that you were at Cincinnati.
For sure.
But by comparison with the other years, why was that one your least favorite?
I was just, if you recall, Donald got kicked off the team that summer. And, kind of left me in a position where I was the only real experienced senior. We had Teron Barker, who came from junior college. And then everyone else was just young. James had to sit out that year.
Right.
And then, Eric was young. Maxfield was young. So it was it was just tough. I remember we played Marquette, and one of the first games we had, I think I scored 22 consecutive points off a pick and roll in the shoe against I forgot the school it was against, but that happened. And then we played Marquette, and I pick and roll, and they doubled me, and I had to throw the ball back over to Teron, and D Wade looked at me and said, "Long season for you, Stokes. We're gonna double you every time we play." So I said, "Man, D Wade still my guy to this day, man." But I knew we were just young and inexperienced. We didn't have a really good mix. Tony was there, Tony was there, but again, Tony was junior college. younger. So it wasn't like we had the cohesiveness like we had with the other teams.
So I'm glad you bring up the cohesiveness, as this kind of translates into where we are with the state of the program today, and some of the other things that you've brought up, that I kind of want to start kind of picking at a little bit here, just to see where it has been different while you were with the program compared to some of the things we've seen now. You talk about that
Mhm.
cohesiveness, that brotherhood, and obviously with the rules that COVID has, forced upon not just basketball players but the entire world. It's obviously been a completely different experience at the collegiate level, and I don't know if you talked to any of these players, but as far as what insight can you give us as to what it was like for these kids this year compared to what your experience was in college?
I think it's tough, right? Because not only from a basketball standpoint, but just college. You're there. You're meant to be social. That's kind of where you're finding out your identity in life, right? Like you figure things out. So I think COVID is really taking a toll on that. But I think on the flip side, we do live in a world where a lot of these kids utilize tools, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat to communicate. Um, so I mean, I don't know. I think the one thing we can look at is the schools who usually are one and done, with guys who come in and go to the league. I think those schools have struggled mightily this season, and I think that's just because of the inexperience again and the cohesiveness that they lack. If you look at a school like Gonzaga, they went 26-0 because they got some senior veteran leadership mixed with the freshman who's a stud. Michigan's done the same thing. They got some senior leadership, some older statesmen mixed with some younger guys. So I think that really exposed some issues with kind of maturity level, and I think that's where we are with our program. I think that we've got and again, these guys are kids, so I don't want to pick on anyone, but I just think
Certainly.
that through the lack of experience, I really don't think that they understand that you can't just give up, because when you give up, you're giving up on you know the guy that's in the foxhole with you, right? Like, if I'm in the foxhole with Demar or Kenyon or Satterfield or Logan or any of these guys, Jermaine Tate, any of these guys, I know that if they're at one side and I'm at the other side, they're not gonna fall asleep unless let someone come in and get to both of us, man. So I think that's where we kind of lacked this year, and I think you saw that in the play, right? Like you really have to have when you're in a winning program and you're a winner, you have to have this level of selflessness, right? Where I'm willing to make the extra pass. It's not going to go on my stat sheet. I may pass to Steve, and Steve may then pass to DeMar for DeMar to make the shot. I'm not going to get the assist, but it's a good basketball play, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing with how you view. Hey, am I going to quit or transfer, knowing that this is my brother? We all had tough days with Coach Huggins. I mean, there were times when we all would come in, me, Satterfield, and DeMar, man, listen, we didn't sign up for this. We're going to transfer. We're going to, older classmen like, you guys are crazy. Shut up. And then, we would shut up. Because we're freshmen, so we want someone to be able to vent to
Right.
and complain to, and you can't do that with Hugs. So we did it with the other guys, and they're like, shut up. You guys are the greatest freshmen in the country. You're here. Let's get it done. And that's what we would do. So, and again, it's a testament, right, to us. And that is why we're still like this as brothers to this
Right.
day, is because we would have never given up on each other like that.
Well,
We
So
would have
how
never we
much?
would have never given up on the city like that, because we understood what that meant to with the university. I mean, Oscar Robertson, Oscar mentored me for years. I still talk to Oscar to this day. I mean, I can call Oscar right now and pick the phone up. Hey, Lenny, how's it going? What do you need? I mean, those are things that you can't. Those are things in life, right, that are irreplaceable.
So
And I think it's
how
one
much of
thing.
the how much of that would you say is like, kind of like instilling the Bearcat way, right? Like how
1000%.
everything goes there. came down to, like the alumni coming back, like you said, like, you're playing against Ruben over the summer, right? Like, how much of that has continued, let's say, over, I don't know, the last 10, 15 years of alumni coming back and playing these pickup games or staying in contact with the new guys that are on the team that are coming in to kind of help them understand, like, when you put that CPAW on your chest, like, it means something different.
I mean, we've done a good job with it. I mean, any of those guys, the younger guys, tell you SK. I talk to SK all the time. I talk to Justin Jackson, Gary Clark. I mean, if Jacob Evans, I'm out on my business thing sometime at meetings. I was in San Francisco for a meeting. I text Jacob. I said, "Hey, I need a couple tickets." Jacob let me take his passes for the game. Same thing. I was in Houston. Dustin Grutzer, our old quarterback, Dustin and I were together in Houston on a business trip. Hey, he left. Gary Clark left me 6 tickets, lounge passes for the kind of bar restaurant that they have there. I mean, these kids are good kids, man. I mean, we keep a rapport with everyone just because that's what was done with us. So we tried to engage. This year with COVID made it tough because there was a transition. Trey Scott is my little brother. I love Trey. He represented the 13 well. I talked to him. We, Instagram, Twitter, we message every other day. I mean, those kids are great kids. They fought for each other. They pushed for each other. I mean, I was so proud and happy when they won conference championship. I mean, you would have thought that we won the conference championship. I mean, we were a holy grail watching that game. I mean, it was epic, man. So, we try to do as much as we can for those younger guys just to, let them know because, we've been through the real world and we understand what they're up against. So we just try to be as supportive of those guys as we can just to help them, with life, not even basketball, just life in general.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. T. Nelson said that yesterday or a couple of days ago that, it's possible if he could have been around, due to the COVID restrictions, if he could have been around or Corey could have been around or DeMar could have been around or somebody could have been around, maybe these guys don't transfer out because maybe they're that venting, right? They're that sounding board that they can have to, and hopefully they don't opt out, but COVID.
No, that's definitely a good point. I think that is part of the issue is that exactly. I think there's not enough. If you look at the guys who, Gary's still playing, Trey's still playing, SK, all those guys are still playing, so they're not back. We're here, and usually we pick up the slack for that. As those guys will get done, 5, 6, 7 years from now, they'll then come back and pick up that slack. But for us, it's just been tough to watch from the sidelines with COVID. I mean, we can barely go to the games, with anything. So those guys don't get a chance to see us, to feel us, to hear us, or it's tough to when you got a freshman coming in and you got some older leadership on the team. Trey Scott would walk to all the freshmen and say, "Hey, this is Lane, this is DeMar, hey, these are the guys, these are the OGs, respect them." And then as those guys get older, we have their ear. This year was tough to do that.
Right.
So for those kids, they may have felt like they were on an island, and we all respect Coach Brennan. Let's get that established and clear. We all respect him. He's in the second year. I mean, there was one point. I mean, if you look, Mick lost to Notre Dame by 40. I think that was 2011, right? And went on to have a great coaching career. And I think Brennan's in the same boat. I think Brennan will be fine. I think we just have to give him some time.
So how do you think that, I guess, just kind of knowing how things went with all the freshmen, especially who were here this year, how do you think the alumni are going to be able to just kind of make sure that we don't run into a similar situation going forward to where they don't feel like they're on an island? Obviously, I think they're going to start letting more fans in and what have you, but just kind of, I don't know how much you can let us peek behind the curtain of the alumni gatherings or conversations that you guys are having.
I mean, we're always going to be there to support, no matter who's at the helm. I think, again, Brennan's been great. He's opened his home to the former players. We all went there when he first got hired. He's opened the locker room. His line of communication is great. Rodney Crawford's there. Rodney played on the team with me for a couple of years. So we're all in support. But I just think that, COVID has made it tough. And, as a freshman coming in, if you are not playing the minutes you think that you should be playing, and you don't have that kind of senior leadership established, I think it can get tough. And, if things aren't going your way, you may not see the light at the end of the tunnel because there's really no one there to, tell you so. I mean, and, you got to look at Coach Brandon too, right? Like, if 7, 8, 9 guys are, coming to him at daily, well, I mean, that's a tough, that's tough to manage. It's tough to manage those expectations, right? So, you kind of need that leadership, that kind of alpha to say, hey, guys, it's going to be all right. We're going to be fine. Let's do our job. Let's go out and play and participate. And, hopefully we can get back to that. I do think, though, that, we've got to establish an identity. I think, we've got to get a little stronger, a little more physical, and do things the way that we have as Bearcats. But I just, I think that, we really have to establish an identity, because then that's going to let you know who you can recruit and who you can't recruit.
Well, and I kind of piggybacking off of that, I think that you have that opportunity now, especially with some of these guys like a David DeJulius, like a Jeremiah Davenport, that are going into their junior years now. I mean, with DDJ, I believe he's going into his 4th year. But who knows what type of eligibility players are going to have going forward.
For sure.
But, they'll have that opportunity to, kind of establish themselves as leaders early on, especially after kind of growing into those roles last season. So I think, just kind of going forward, you're going to see, especially Davenport kind of put it all out there when he said in his tweet, like, don't lose the faith. Basically, I'm still here. We're not,
For sure.
And so what did that mean to you? And how does that, kind of put faith in yourself with the program, and knowing that everything is probably going to be okay? It's just going to take a little bit of time.
I mean, I got no choice but to keep the faith now. I'm not going to give up, man. If I give up, what do I have, right? Like,
Sure.
I can't go root for any other college team, man. I'm in Columbus right now, and they, those guys take the, I take the brunt of my jokes right now, but I think we'll be fine. We'll get back. Football's doing well. Coach Fickle's doing great, but basketball, we got to get back to where we are, and I think Coach will do that. But Davenport, man, that was a big tweet by him. I was proud of that tweet. I think that he, he was, kind of calming the waters there, because I was actually in Nashville at a meeting, and my phone just was going nuclear. Reporters, everyone was texting, "Hey, what's going on? Can you talk?" And I just said, "Hey, just give us some time. I think we'll be fine. We'll be okay, man." I think that's the basis. I think Coach, Coach is going to be, it's just a different world, right? You got there's 5,000 kids in that transfer portal. 5,000.
That's insane.
That's a lot of kids.
I mean, that shows you the state of where we are in athletics, collegiate athletics, right? 5,000 kids. I mean, there's 5,000. I mean, that would be the equivalent of a strike, right?
Yeah.
If this was a union deal, that would be the equivalent of a strike, right? So, I mean, that is tough that's 5,000 kids who felt as if they didn't get what they wanted at the program. I mean, that is tough. My freshman year, I mean, I didn't get what I wanted, but, you still have to tough it out and push it through. This is life, right? Like, you can't just fold when things get tough.
Is that number counting D2 and D3 athletes and JUCO and all that?
Yeah, I think that's the entire portal, 5,000.
If you're running a team of 15 players, that's 333 teams.
Man, Aaron, what's your day job, man? I need a CFO, man. You counted those numbers up pretty quickly, man.
I mean, that's a wild number of teams.
No, that is a disturbing and eye-popping number. I mean, so Coach Brennan now is going to have to go into that portal and pull players out to get us in decent shape. But I don't think you can build a program off of transfer portal. I mean, you can onesie, twosie, plug a spot here, plug a spot there. You may need a big, go get a big, but I don't think you can build a culture of a program through the transfer portal.
Do you think that the transfer portal rules need to kind of roll back, where it's not like this mass free agency every year? I mean, like, I know this year with COVID, they're saying like kids don't have to sit out, right? Whenever they leave and go to wherever else they're going to end up. But if you leave a transfer portal, as in this situation where it's a freebie free agency like every year, you get a kid that, maybe he has a down season at wherever he's at, and he's like, "Oh, I'm out of here. I'm gonna go elsewhere." And if it happens with somebody who is maybe a higher tier recruit that's not maybe ready for the league, so they're not going to leave, right, to go to the league anywhere. Maybe they leave from Duke because they have a bad season. They some stud freshman comes in and now they're sitting on the bench their sophomore junior year, and they're like, screw that, like I'm not sticking around here. Like they didn't believe in me. I'm going to leave and go to Kentucky. Like you think that those rules need to be looked at and adjusted?
To be honest, I think that if you're a player, I don't think DeMar Johnson leaves Cincinnati to go play at Duke his sophomore year. I don't think Kenyon Martin leaves Cincinnati after his junior year to go play at wherever. Where you are is where you are, and it's your job to work to get yourself to where you need to be. I don't think that for 5,000 people to be in that portal, I don't think that there's that many bad coaches. I just think that the expectation and the generation of these kids, the mixture of that, I think that's what we're living through, where everything is now immediate. And, hey, I'm going to the NBA, and if I don't play enough, I'm not getting the Instagram likes I need, which is not letting me get the girls I need. And I'm a better looking guy than this guy, but he's getting the girls, he's getting the playing time. I mean, there's a lot of nuances to this stuff, man, that is really behind the scenes that's driving a lot of these decisions. But I mean, the sad part about it for these kids is, you're going to have to be 25, 30, 35, 40 years old. And I mean, you can't quit, man. You got to push through and tough through things, man. Like, you're going to get to the real world, and you can't go to a job and say, hey, listen, I'm not getting, you're going to pay me $100,000. I need $350,000. Hey, good luck getting the $350,000, pal. This is the market value for you. So,
well, and we've heard people talking about, grass isn't always necessarily greener. We've heard that coming from several alumni who've been kind of pushing that message. On top of the fact that you have to consider, if you're talking about that many people in the transfer portal, people are going to get left out. It's going to be a musical chairs game where you just don't end up on a team, and then what? So
for sure.
So what kind of, just for anybody who might be listening that has an opportunity to even make that type of decision in the future, like how do you build a program and the stability with all of that in mind?
I think it's tough. I mean, you cannot create an identity off of transfer portal. You can't, because you're having so many kids coming from different cultures of programs that you're going to gel together and try to get them all to buy in. And I'm going to tell you what happens. If you're not, Coach Huggins ruled with an iron fist, but I've seen some coaches who haven't. And the tough part about that is if you don't do that, those kids all get off the floor, they're going to revert back to what they know.
Yep.
And that's where the trouble is when you try to embed that into a culture, man. And for the kids, I just, you sign a letter of intent. There's some circumstances that warrant a transfer. Don't get me wrong. Some guys, I mean, Dante Jones, one of our good friends, Dante transferred, from Rutgers, went to Duke and wound up playing, having a good career. So there are some guys who culturally or for whatever reason make a move. But I mean, for 5,000 kids to be in that portal is just a sign of the times. I don't think that there are that many bad coaches out there, that many coaches that have promised kids playing time that haven't received it. I think, if you sign up, once I get to a team and I'm more of an alpha, hey, when I get to the team, these are my guys, and let's go out and win. If we can't win, what we need to do? We need to get in the gym and get better. So let's get in the gym. Put the phones down. Put the video games down. Get in the gym.
I think Huggins even had a guy go into the transfer portal today, and we all know that Huggins, cares about his players. So, yeah, it's just, I think it's.
Yeah, I talked to Hugs after they lost to Syracuse. And we text. He texted me and said, "Lenny, we suck."
That sounds like
coach, man. No, that is definitely the text he sent me. I text him, happy, congrats on the 900, and we text back and forth. And then after the game, he just texted me and said, we sucked. And then I said, hey, coach, keep your head up this season, man. But you know, he's gonna call a spade every time, man. But I mean, they did play Syracuse. Syracuse, all they want to do is shoot the ball. You got to take that away from them, man. And they continue to shoot. But I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen with those guys. If all those guys go cold on one time, they're gonna get beat by 40.
So as we're calling a spade,
Yep.
let's talk about Coach Huggins.
For sure.
What is this look he has right now?
I was just about to bring
Is
that
he an
up.
actual mountaineer? Like, is he cadavering in the caves, mining for gold? What is happening?
Yeah, I thought he was gonna star in the Big Lebowski Part 2, man. From what he was looking, man. I tease him, man. Hugs is my guy. I love Hugs to death. Usually, prior to COVID, I would go down there 3 or 4 times. We stay with him. Hugs is great. Hugs is great, man. Just great guy, great, human being, man. I've lost, not to change the note or somber the story, but I've lost both of my parents to cancer, and Hugs was there for me both of those times, man, and just a great guy. But I mean, I don't know what's going on with him. I haven't had time to spend face to face because they're contact tracing, man. So I can't go now, man. But
I feel like he's 2 weeks away from a ponytail. And I'm not sure he knows that he wears his mask here instead of here. So we all know that he's got this swashbuckler goatee going on.
For sure, 1,000%. 1,000%.
He's just completely let himself go. It's like he doesn't know he's on TV.
No, he's lost a lot of weight this year.
Yo, do you think he cares though?
Absolutely
Do you
not.
think he cares?
Not at all.
You don't walk out the door like that if you actually care. I had one of those phases. I totally did.
Oh man, Hugs is the greatest, man. I'm gonna tell you a quick Hug story, man. So we were playing Louisville. This was our junior year. We're going down to play Louisville, and we go to dinner. Hugs drove because I guess he had some event prior to, so he drove a rental. We were all on a bus. So when we leave dinner, he gets in the rental. We drive the bus. The bus pulls in. He pulls in after us. The rental he had is covered, and I mean covered in bird crap. Covered. So the valet guy takes his keys. We're getting off the bus, walking, to go into the hotel. And then I look and I say, damn, we're all looking at the truck like, man, what is? So Hugs hands the keys to the valet guy. The valet guy looks at him, looks at the truck, and then Hugs looks at the valet guy and goes, those damn Cardinals.
That's
I said, man, what? Man, but he's so quick-witted, man. His wit is so quick. He doesn't get enough credit for being as smart as he is, man. But that guy, I mean, if you look at the NBA careers of, Kenyon, Corey, Nick, Ruben, Danny Fortson. I mean, the things that he taught us. I mean, even when I was playing in the D League, NBA Developmental League, my coach was Joey Meyer, Ray Meyer's son, and he called Hugs one day and was like, "Dude, Lenny is freakishly intelligent out here," and he goes, "No, it's just our way of doing things. That's why we were always number one field goal percentage defense, and the rest of the things is because you just know, you understand tendencies, you watch film, and you take the best thing away from what guys do, man." But Hugs is great at it. Love him to death, man. Just great. I mean, like I said, we text after his game. I talk to him all the time. I go down usually to see him a few times a year. And then Mick has done great, man. Mick is Sweet 16, first 20-point win, by a Pac-10 school, that wasn't expected to be in the tournament. I mean, he's done a good job, man. So, Texas, his staff, Coach Savino's my guy over there, man. A lot of respect for those guys. So it's good, it's good to see, that we still have someone in the fray. And we're rooting for Mick.
I just want you to know, I really did have a phase like that.
Man, Jiminy Christmas, man. What was that? What are you doing, Aaron?
Listen, man,
Was that a breakup? What happened, man?
Did end up divorced shortly after that. Actually.
See,
I knew it was a
Lenny
lady
is
involved
smart.
somewhere,
That's the
man.
thing that
I
happened.
knew it was a lady involved somewhere, man.
Yeah. So that was. I don't mind putting myself out there. I told you I can totally relate. You don't walk out that door if you actually care.
For sure, man. For sure, man. But yeah, but it's great stuff, man. UC has been great. The city is great. I mean, it is. I'll be 40, man. Got there when I was 18, right? So you still walk around the city. I tell people all the time now. This is how old. I told DJ this last Sunday, right? We did a Sunday fun day, on the banks in Cincy, right? So I said, man, listen. I said, do you understand? It went from, hey, take a photo with me, to, hey, take a photo with my son, to now, hey, take a photo with my grandson. that is where we are in life right now, right? Like I told DJ, I said, dude, we're old now. Like that is where we went. Hey, Lenny, take a photo. Hey, Lenny, take a photo with my son. Hey, Lenny, take a photo with my grandson. And I'm here like, man. Once I get to the great grandkids, then I'm done,
Photos.
man.
Well,
I'm
as
done, man.
you're talking about meeting fans,
Huh.
I met you actually in 2014 in Memphis at a bar after the game. I don't know if you remember this or not. And I came up and approached you and I said, hey, it's my dude's bachelor party. We're down here for a bachelor party. And we had just all watched, I want to say it was UConn beat us at the buzzer.
UConn definitely beat us. UConn definitely beat us. The bar that we were at was actually right behind the arena.
Yeah.
Right
yeah.
behind, and we walked out. We were at that back bar. I remember you walked up to me, and then I came down to your table. You guys had a big, long table.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So I didn't know if you remembered that whole interaction or not, as it was, 7 years ago now. But
I definitely remember. I should have remembered it, because if you asked me how my night ended, it wound up with me sleeping on the bathroom floor in my hotel room.
that doesn't surprise me at all. We were all here.
No, man, we were all. That was an interesting night, man. One of my buddies is like a big healthcare executive who left Cincinnati to go run a big time healthcare program down there. So he and I went to dinner. We did a couple shots of tequila at dinner, and then I got to the game. And then after the game, you just run into fans, and there's drinks and there's shots, and it just didn't really end well, man. I woke up the next day and met the UC faithful at the Peabody, downstairs in our room. We're all at the Peabody, and I was hurt, man. I was hurt. I was hurt.
It's funny you talk about like taking pictures with kids and grandkids and all this kind of stuff, because like when you were a freshman at UC that first, I was in 8th grade, and so like we watched like, I remember I had teachers that would like turn UC games on, whenever like tournament games, like when that kind of stuff would happen. And then like obviously like the Kenyon thing happened, and I remember like sitting there in class and just like everybody being so somber, because like UC was and still is for many of us, like just such a big thing. Like there's no professional basketball team here in Cincinnati. Sure. Those guys that play on the court there, that's our team. That's our professional team. That's who we pull for. Who we some people have like their professional teams that they pull for. Ours is the UC Bearcats, and so I think that is part of the driving force behind all the emotion that has been coming out, because I was part of it last week with a lot of my hot takes that came out over these kids leaving and being like, this is very clear that what we need to do, and it's move on from John Brandon. And obviously that was a very emotional take on things, and pretty at the extremist, as it were.
Jeff, just say you screwed up, man. Just say I screwed up. I jumped the gun, man. You can say it, man.
Look, what's funny is I called myself the bum of the week like 2 weeks prior to that, and I was like, they're heading the right direction. These freshmen are starting to gel together. They're playing really well. They get to the tournament, they get all the way up. They beat Wichita, and we're like, this is great. And then obviously they play Houston, who is on another level anyway. And then it fell apart, and I was like, I was right. I think I was wrong again.
So no, you're right though, Jeff. The adversity though builds character though, right? And you can't, when things get tough, you can't quit. So, quick story is freshman year we were going to play Xavier, and that whole week is just big week, right? So again, me, DJ, and Kenny. Kenny and I are both from New York, right? Our state championship game, there's 15,000 people in the arena for New York State and Glens Falls, right? So, DJs play, we all played in front of a big crowd. So Hugs keeps saying, there's going to be 10,000 screaming fans in here. And we're just like, oh, dude, we played in front of 10,000 people. Like, it's fine. It'll be fine. And man, when we got to that arena, that was the loudest place I've ever played in the history of my life with basketball. And it was, we lose. And again, it was one of those lessons where maybe we're not as smart as we think we are. We should listen to the guy who's done this before, right? Like, because, when you come in, you're just, you're a freshman, you think you know everything, and then you go through this, this kind of time where you're figuring out that you really don't. And I think that those are the moments where you learn, you stick it through, you push through, you get better. It's going to happen again. It's going to happen again. And then you're going to look up and it's not going to happen. You're going to be the one teaching the lessons, and it all works itself out. It's law of averages.
So building on that, you have said that you can't build through the transfer portal. So if you are in John Brandon's shoes, how do you go about reestablishing the Bearcat way and moving forward with the program?
I think John's in a tough spot like everyone else is. All the coaches are. It's very tough to recruit a kid if you can't see a kid play, right? And that's just where we are with the world. So, I think the portal, he's got to get some toughness and he's got to get some skill. He's got to get some kids that are going to stick around, and then let that, hopefully guide us and kind of be the baseline. And then as things start to loosen up and ease up, go out and get your core group that you can build the program, start to build your program off of. That's what that's what we want to do. And again, we're not the only game in town that has got transferring. Those guys across the way, those guys have 4 guys in the portal as well. But it's just, we're going to get the brunt of it because we're UC. But they've got some guys that have left their program as well. So again, it's just, I think that's what's happening with college athletics, and we've just got to get some, we've got to get back to that toughness, that Bearcat way. And I think coach can get us back there.
So I have to go back to your freshman year. Excuse me. And I'm sure you've already talked to DeMar about it, but there's this little beef going on Twitter right now between DeMar.
Oh man, come on, man. Come on, man. I called Corey. I said, Corey, listen, man. You disrespected us. Corey said that they would have beat us by 20.
He said that they would have locked down Kenyon Martin.
How? Even if they did, we still had Lowe, Sat, DJ, Pete. You had me. You had D Little. I mean, we were loaded. Dick Vitale said that that's one of the most talented teams ever assembled in college basketball.
DeMar literally said earlier tonight, "Where's our weakness?"
Exactly. Like where?
Roster, and I don't see one.
He said that 92 team had Van Exel who could create shots, but outside of
he was the only one.
That's what
Van Exel was the only one that could create his own shot. He was the only one. So Pete would have guarded Nick, and then what would have been the thing? Do not crowd Nick. Don't let him shoot. Make him drive, and then Kenyon would have blocked it. Corey has to know deep down. Corey's got to fight for his era, for his guys. Corey knows deep down inside, man, we would have beat those guys, man.
It would have been a matchup nightmare.
Corey said they would have beat us by 20.
He said they have 4 guys that they could throw at Kenyon.
What was everyone else doing?
Him, Eric Martin, and Terry Nelson. He said Kenyon would only get 12 points.
I don't see that happening.
I
love it though. I love that happening on Twitter right now. Like I love that you guys are obviously it's all fun and games, but I love there's like that kind of like beefing kind of back and forth going on.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I love that.
Look, man, the fans voted. It was a landslide of a vote. 70% to 30%.
Yeah. Yep.
I think
Dude.
I honestly think that you guys need to let us peek behind this curtain more often, to where you're having these conversations that I'm sure you're having privately on group chats.
Oh man, it's crazy.
But
I'm gonna tell you what, I text Corey the other day. I said, Corey, listen, man, it was 70 to 30. You know what? You guys lost the vote. If you guys want to storm the shoe, go ahead, man.
I think just having these conversations publicly is nothing but a good thing. I think it does nothing but get the fan base worrying less about John Brannon and the turmoil on the roster, and more about the smiles and the feel good. And I think it's nothing but a good thing.
For sure. We all listen, man. When I tell you we love each other, like seriously, like I mean, Corey, Nick, all of those guys, man. I mean, there was times when I was in Houston, Nick would come pick me up. You know, we go do stuff. I mean, all of those guys. We played in New Jersey. That was my senior year against against Oregon. Kenyon came pick me up from the hotel. We go to dinner. You know, I stay at his place. I mean, we really all love and care about each other. I mean, that riff is just all in good fun. But I mean, to be honest, man, we all. I mean, the brotherhood with us is really real though.
Awesome.
And I mean, it's interesting to see though from other schools, because we know other players from other schools. We're probably one of the most close knit groups. I mean, when Kenyon and DeMar and James White were all playing in that big three, we would all go to the games and support and watch. And there was Bearcats everywhere. There was all of us, and you know, those guys are playing. We're there to support and watch, and we're looking at the other guys. And we're your guys. I mean, we are all really brothers, man. Seriously, we are all really brothers.
That's such a great, like, honestly, that's something that's awesome to hear here, and it's awesome for like recruiting purposes. Honestly, to be like, this is how it is at Cincinnati. You come in, you stick it out. You know, even if, let's say you're part of the core group that comes in and rebuilds this up from a struggling year to getting back to where, you know, everyone expects Bearcat basketball to be, which is competing in March, right? And you don't just graduate from here and go away and forget about everything that happened. Like, we're all part of this. Like, once you're here, you're part of this family.
Right.
You know, as long as you stick it out and you're, you know, here for the team.
For sure, man. I mean, and that's what it's all about. That's what college athletics is all about. Is you've got to come in, you got to give it your all, and you know your legacy will be created, and those folks will not, you know, forget about you. I mean, I was Mr. Basketball. I played 7 minutes a game my freshman year, right? The easiest thing for me would have been, hey, I'm out of here. I can go here and play or go there and play. You know why I didn't do that is because off the court, Kenyon, DeMar. I mean, me, Satterfield, and DeMar lived in a dorm. I was a couple floors above them. But, I mean, we were in each other's rooms all day, every day. We did everything together. Hey, we're going to the movies. We're going to the mall. We're going to here or there. We did everything together. So for me to look and say, you know what, I'm going to give up on these guys, or for all of us to do the same, we wouldn't have allowed it with each other. I mean, we just, you know, we knew we had to deal with Hugs. He may be a pain in the butt for the time being, but he does have your best interests at heart. I don't think any college coach is doing anything out of malice for these kids. It's just, they're pressure packed too, right? And at the time as a kid, you don't understand that they've got to win. If they don't, then they're out of here. So they're trying to do the best they can do to win. It's not personal. You know, you just got to step up and play better.
So between David DeJulius, Micah Adams-Woods, and Jeremiah Davenport, they really have an opportunity here to write a legacy, really, if they're part of this giant rebuild from literally the ground up.
Especially now that we've learned tonight on Twitter that Jeremiah is going to be working with DeMar over the summer for training. I think in this year we didn't have a leader. I don't feel like we didn't have a leader. I think next year is going to be Jeremiah, and we're going to see a whole change.
For sure, because I think what's going to happen with him, with DJ training him, is we're all around DJ. and we'll see him, and we'll all get a chance to talk with him and let him kind of take that lead, and we'll all support. So I think that's what'll happen, and then he'll tell the younger guys, hey, here's who's who and what's what from our Bearcat alums, and those guys will fall in line and listen, and I think it'll be fine. I think coach will step up and do what he has to do. I don't think he hasn't. I just think that it was just tough, man. He's coming in second year, COVID hit. That he was in a tough spot, man. So I think I got all the faith in the world that we'll get back to where we need to get to and push through, man. But I'm glad to see that he's working with DeMar, though. That's a huge sign of him. I mean, even the tweet that he sent out shows his character, but then to go work with DeMar over the summer shows that he wants to get better, right? So I think that'll be good.
I think I'm also going to tweet John Brennan later on tonight and try to get that game set up for Bearcat Madness, Midnight Madness, get the 92 team against you guys.
Does anyone want to see? I mean, some of those guys may be. I mean, if it's a wheelchair league, man, some of those guys may be maybe a little better, man, with that, man. But I mean, that is that's a healthy debate, though. I mean, that team that they had was a good team. I just think that we were that team we had, man, was just unbelievable, man. I mean, it was unreal, man. But it's a healthy debate for the program, man. I'm glad to see. I mean, my Twitter feed was going crazy. I looked, I said, man, what is going on over here? And it was just that me and DeMar, we're all in a group text. I mean, we're just laughing, man, because we're all, we all kind of talk a little bit of smack behind the scenes, but then we go out and we tweet. We all agree. We'll text each other like, hey, in a group text, like, hey, should we say this? The younger guys, and then the older guys will respond, and then we'll all kind of line it up, man. But it's all good fun, man. We're all, I think, proud to be Cincinnati Bearcat, man. That city of Cincinnati is great towards us, man. Just great. We're usually at Holy Grail. Donnie, Jimmy, and those guys do a great job with us, man, while we're in there. The fans are always great. Mo Egger, Lance, Kevin over at the News Station. I mean, everyone is just great, man. Anytime we need want anything, they're always there for us. So, kudos to you guys, man, as fans, man. We all appreciate the love and the support, man. It's just, from our side, it's touching to be, 22 years removed from our freshman year and still have the bond that we have with the fans and the folks throughout the city, man. So it means a lot.
Well, unless you guys have anything else, I got one final question, but I'll hold off if you do have anything else.
I just want to say thank you to Leonard Stokes for talking me backwards off the ledge. I mean, he did tell me I was wrong. He did tell me I was wrong, which I can see.
It'll be all right, Jeff. Listen, man, we'll get back to normal. I'll buy your beer at the game, man. We'll cheers it up.
I'll hold
man.
you to that.
For sure, I got you, man. Don't worry about that.
All right.
So, Ed, you got anything else?
No, I can't wait to hear this question.
All right. So I can't really let you out of here without like a really, really good Bob Huggins story. Generally, anybody who's ever played for Bob, they usually have something in their back pocket that they can't tell us because all the reasons. But then they figure it out and filter through some other ones, and they're like, I can give you this one. So whatever you got, I know you can't give me the good ones, at least not here. But whatever you got.
I got a good one for you. So, my senior year, Hugs had his heart issue. We're in the gym working out. That happened. So it's kind of a segue. So it's a two-part story, right? So Hugs, he's flying, I think, to Pittsburgh. He has his issue. We're in the gym, playing up a gym, and God rest Dan Peters. I love Dan Peters too. Was one of my favorite coaches. Passed away. But Coach Pete comes in, and I'm captain. He's like, Lenny, come here. We're playing pickup. It's intense. He's like, come here. So I'm like, what's going on? He's like, get the guys in the locker room right now. Hugs had a heart attack. And I'm like, what? I'm like, is he okay? He's like, yeah, he'll be all right. But just get everyone in the locker room, shower up, and I'll come in and talk to you guys. So we did that. So the next day I called Coach Pete and I said, hey, what's going on? He's like, just stand by, keep the guy, go do your workouts, keep the guys together. But coach is at Christ Hospital. So I said, all right. So he goes, you can't have any visitors though. So I'm like, okay, cool. So you tell me I ain't gonna have any visitors, right? So I go to Christ Hospital. They're like, oh, Stokes, hey, I'm like, where's Coach Hugs? They're like, oh, he's up. He's like, what? I'm like, I gotta go see him. So they, let me up. So I get up, and when I think it was more for the media. They didn't want the media kind of in there. So I get up to the room, and when I get up to the room, he's kind of moaning a little bit. So I open the door, but when I close the door, he's like, nurse. So I swing the curtain open, and then he looked and saw it was me and kind of looked up, and then we both started laughing. I said, I ain't here to give you no sponge bath. So he started laughing, man. That thing is in Dick Vitale's book, though. Hugs told that story, but so we get through that. I tell him I love him, all of that stuff, man, and then they obviously they kick me out, so I leave out, and then fast forward to later in that year, we're playing UNC Charlotte in Charlotte. We win, and we come back. When we come back, Hugs, Chuck, I love Chuck to death too, man. Tough loss right there, but Chuck, all of those guys are sitting, and may have been Tom Gregory too from Montgomery. All those guys are sitting at a table. So we win, so we're pushing through. I have some family that's coming to meet me at the hotel because I have family in Charlotte. So I come down and I introduce Hugs to my family. They were all at the game, so I'm going to eat with my family. Hugs has, the doctors told Hugs you can have one glass of wine per day. One glass. Hugs has, if you ever went to a truck stop and they've got the big 32 ounce.
The big gulps.
The big gulps. Hugs had a 32 ounce full of wine. So I look in there, I said, man, what is that? He said, it's wine. I said, Hugs, what? He goes, Lenny, they said I could have one glass. This is it.
That's all,
man.
So
but he's got the big goat, man. But Hugs is great, man. Even at West Virginia, I go down there, man. I sit with June, his wife, and he'll turn around and, Lenny, what is wrong with these guys? And I'm like, Hugs, stop yelling at me. I don't play for you anymore, man. You're coaching West Virginia, man. Yell at these guys, man. But he's great, man. Class act, kudos, man. Good guy, man. A lot of respect for him, man, and what he's done for me in my life. Coming from the tough environment that I come from, and I think all those guys echo that. All of us guys echo that sentiment, man. So,
well, we will get you out of here on that note. Thank you for the story. Hang on, after we finish recording, we'll give you a proper goodbye. But thank you for being on the show with us. We do appreciate it. Love the stories, love the perspective. Obviously, you talked Jeff off the ledge, so hopefully that helps out with some other people who are just looking down and wondering what the hell's going on with the program. Hopefully that gives you a little insight, and everything is going to be okay. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow.
Three little birds, man. Bob Marley, man. Every little thing will be all right, man.
It's coming. So again, thank you for your time. You can find him at Lenny Stokes 13 on Twitter. And again, we thank you, sir.
Appreciate you guys.
All right.